Welcome to the Apex Sunday podcast, where we discuss MotoGP as well as other topics of interest in the racing world. Today we're discussing the race at Circuit of the Americas. Now, last time I had identified some possible trends, just watching the first two races. Binder being consistent, that didn't happen yet. How was Mark on the new Ducati? Great result in the sprint, and he was competitive in the race. How is Pedro Acosta going to go? Great again, he learns very quickly. Can Aprilia and KTM fight for victories in a championship? It looks like they can. And where are Honda and Yamaha? Well, at the moment they're pretty much nowhere. Mira said that they're going in the wrong direction. There were a lot of crashes in Q1 and Q2. Binder and Fabio in Q1, Martin had 2 in Q2, along with Bez and Aleix. And it was good to see that we didn't get a repeat of what happened to Pecco last season with Martin, Alex Marquez last season, and of course Digia this season on track after crashes. Morbidelli showed great improvement. He went directly into Q2. Augusto showed some progress, though he joined Brad just ahead of the Hondas, who were at the very back of the grid again. I thought with Q2, with 8 Ducatis, 2 Aprilias, 2 KTMs, how many of the non-Ducatis we're going to see up there? But still, only one Ducati was on the first row. That was Mark, with Maverick and Acosta. We had an all-Ducati 2024 second row. And Pecco seems to be just still adjusting to the bike. He was on pole here last year. So interesting qualifying, but let's move on to the sprint. Maverick did very well. He got his second consecutive sprint victory. And he did very well here at COTA when he was with Yamaha. He looked to break Mark's dominance of COTA back then, but he unfortunately crashed. Morbidelli was just out of the points, but again, he made very good progress. Raul scored points for the home team, Trackhouse, and Martin was on the podium again. And that consistency at the top, I think, is the key to this championship. It usually is for any championship. Mark on a sprint podium again. He's already scored 37% of all the points he scored last season, so he's probably happy with his move. But, Maverick dominated this, 2 consecutive wins, and as a result, he gets my rider of the sprint. He was simply untouchable. As for rating the sprint, I would give it about I'd say a 6. It was entertaining, a good race, but it wasn't a classic. So with that said, let's move on to the main race. It was, of course, a great race. The top 4 riders looked at the limit pretty much the entire race. Pedro adjusted his defense from the sprint, and so he was great against Maverick and Martin. It's wonderful to watch him adjust so quickly. He reminds me of Fabio in his first season of MotoGP, where we all were very, very impressed. It seems to me MotoGP is blessed with these aliens, Rossi, Pedrosa, Stoner, Lorenzo, Marquez, Quartararo, and now Acosta. It's just incredible. Mark was competitive, but he fell. Enea had a very nice aggressive pass on Pecco, so no team orders there. That's very nice to see. Acosta on the podium again, finishing second, only to Maverick, who dominated once again. Maverick becomes the 5th rider to win a top-class race with 3 different manufacturers. I know it sounds better marketing-wise, the first in MotoGP era, but I don't care for that kind of marketing. Let's respect the entire history of the sport. We had lots of crashes. We had Rins, Mark, Morbidelli, Taka, and Zarco. Only one Honda finished. It was great to see Trackhouse finding their feet with some points. With Davide Brivio there and the management that's there, it looks like a good team. So rating the race, I'm going to give it an 8. It was very good, but it's not up to the standard we've seen recently in MotoGP. Still, it's miles better than an F1 race, which, frankly, I've watched for over 30 years until I got around to watching MotoGP. Now I only watch highlights on YouTube, so if you want to hear about that, please subscribe. It's in a coming episode. So in terms of the rider of the race, before I get to him, I'm going to mention Acosta. Anyone who loves racing loves how he's racing. It's just spectacular to watch him control that bike and get these great results. But Maverick is the rider of the race for me. He was dominant. I never doubted he'd come back to the front after slipping back at the start. And it's great to see Maverick at his best, and Aprilia as well, who, when I first got into the sport, I thought of as basically a career killer. Redding, Lowe, Smith, and Iannone, when he went there, he said, "This is not a MotoGP bike." Well, it is now. It's a winner. and possibly a championship contender. And that would be great to see this season. Before ending, there are a few news items of interest. We had Fabio signing with Yamaha. That to me was a bit of a surprise, but they obviously convinced him, and Rin seems convinced of the potential of the project. There are rumors that he may have signed with Aprilia, or they approached him, but with a lot less money. Of course, Aprilia doesn't have a title sponsor, so that may limit who they can get in the future, but the bike seems to be very, very good, so hopefully that's not the case. We have the buyout of MotoGP by Liberty Media, or at least the majority of it. I do have some thoughts on that and Liberty Media. That will be in another video. Subscribe if you're interested. I would like to extend my well wishes to Dovi and Danilo. They had some pretty terrible accidents, and they're in recovery right now, so I wish them both a speedy recovery. We've had Acosta and Miller in the rumor mill as making a switch between Tech3 and the factory team, KTM. I think that would be a mistake at this point. It would disrupt the chemistry that both people have with their respective teams. And Pedro seems very happy at Tech3 at the moment. And I think it would just be kind of disastrous to switch everything up on him again. So I can see them going to the main team in 2025, of course, but right now that doesn't make any sense to me. We've also had Pramac possibly becoming a satellite Yamaha team. Well, I mean, we saw Tech3 dump Yamaha for KTM, and everyone thought that was a mistake, and now they've won numerous races, and now they've got Pedro Acosta. But I don't know, it would be a big step, trust in the future of Yamaha and so forth. I don't know where that would leave Morbidelli, though. I'm not sure there's any mutual love between those two factories. We've also got a rumor about BMW coming to MotoGP. And if that's the case, hopefully they come with Toprak. I talked about aliens earlier, and I think Toprak would fall in that category. It's true he didn't light the world on fire during his Yamaha test last season, but look at Pecco in his first 2 seasons. Now he's a double world champion. His first 2 seasons, not so much. A lot of crashes, didn't score many points, but they believed in him, and they have every right to, because look at the result. So, you know, it'd be great to see Toprak in MotoGP. Next up, we have Jerez, and I can't make any predictions, but we do have some wildcard riders, the alien Pedrosa. And then we have Salvatore and Stefan Bradl. So let's see how that goes. Until then, cheers.